All right, welcome to back to the special episode of the Coach's Corner. This month is National Athletic Trainers Month, and we want to make sure we give them shout outs all this month. We're going to interview 4 different trainers as we go. Today, we have, I'm at Medina Valley High School, we have Randy Neuman and Monica Rosales, and we're going to invite them in and see what all they have to say. All right, first question here. Let's talk about your background a little bit. What schools you went to get your training certifications and how you got to Medina Valley.
Okay, I went to Texas State University at the time. Of course, it was called Southwest Texas State University.
Way back then.
Way back in the late 90s. And funny enough, I got into athletic training. I honestly didn't know what I wanted to pursue for a career when I went off to college, but I knew I enjoyed medicine and I liked sports. And when I was looking through the course catalog there at Texas State, I saw athletic training, and that looked like a really interesting option because it combined the two.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in the program there in the fall of '98 and graduated in the spring of 2001.
And what schools did you start off at, and how did you get to Medina Valley?
So Medina Valley has been the only job I've held as a professional. In college, as a student in the program, I went to cover Blanco High School as part of an outreach program. Yep. Where I met Brian Emerson, who is the AD head coach there. In the fall of 2002, he took the job here as head coach AD, and I knew the athletic trainer here that was leaving, and my name came up, and they invited me out to interview, and I interviewed and took the job and been here ever since.
Awesome. Hey, real quick before we switch over, didn't you want to be an actor too or something? I seem to recall hearing about you. Hearing about you being in a movie. Could you tell us real quick about that?
So, yes, God, I want to say it was '98. I auditioned. I say audition. It was more of a tryout for a movie, Varsity Blues, as a special ability extra, and I made that, and that was a great source of income for a poor college student, making money as helping out with the quote unquote football team that filmed all the football plays.
Awesome. All right, you can give your background now, please, Ms. Monica.
I don't have as interesting of a story as that, but I did athletic training as a student trainer all 4 years of high school. And surprisingly enough, I didn't want to do it in college. I wanted to be an RN. I wanted to work in either the labor and delivery or the emergency room, mainly the emergency room because I like the not knowing of what's coming in. I like the blood, the guts, the massive injuries and things like that. And then so I started off at Coastal Bend taking my basics for nursing, and then I ran into a friend of mine who was doing athletic training at A&M Kingsville, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do that. And so I graduated from A&M Kingsville in 2009, a little after Randy, I guess. And then I worked at a Academy High School. It's a small, it was 4A at that time, or 3A high school. And then I actually worked at A&M Kingsville when the assistant athletic trainer went to North Carolina to do some concussion research. My boss, Ruben Cantu, called me up and he was like, hey, you went through my program, you know how I like things run. And he asked me to be the assistant. So I got on there and I was the assistant athletic trainer outreach coordinator. And I had 3 high schools with 3 graduate assistants under me that we would contract out to and work their games. And then in 2017, I was ready for a change. My husband was working up here, and me and my 2 boys were living in Kingsville, and he was commuting. And so I was ready for a change. I wanted my summers back. And so Coach Sosa at the time was the athletic director here, and I was actually the trainer who worked with his daughter when she got injured, and his son-in-law was the quarterback for A&M Kingsville. And so I got in contact with him and interviewed here, and that's how I got here.
Awesome. All right, next question for you. As an athletic trainer, what do you feel is the best part of your job?
Well, for me, the best part of my job in general as a whole is knowing we come to work every day and helping kids that are injured try to get better, getting back to playing. And I think the big reward for me, I'll throw out a name, Michael Newton was our quarterback sophomore year. He tore his ACL. and to watch him put in the work every day, twice a day, and to be part of that process. It's really kind of easy for us. We put the exercises out there. The kids have to execute them and do them. But Michael was here every day, twice a day, worked his tail off. And then we got to see the rewards by having a successful junior and senior year. So watching them get back to competition and helping, knowing that we're some part of that process is what's most rewarding.
Hey, and he's still having success in college.
And he is, yeah.
All right.
Pistols up.
Yeah.
I guess for me, it's kind of like Coach Neuman said, you know, the reward, you know, we're the people behind the scenes, and not a lot of people know what we do. And, you know, they see us standing around and they're like, who are those people? And so I don't mind not being noticed. My gratification for our job is, you know, when we do get that athlete back out, whether it's post-surgery or just a really bad ankle roll, or even just putting a dislocated finger back into place so that way they can go back out onto the field. And I also like building the relationships with the athletes, letting them know that, you know, everybody has things going on in life. We all have things going on in life, and I'm here to listen to them. So I've had athletes come and tell me, you know, about things going on at home, or, you know, ask me for advice or things like that. You know, that only opens the door up even more to let them know that they don't have to just come into the training room to talk to me about a hamstring or an injury or anything like that. They can come in, and if they need to unload some frustration or things like that, then, you know, we're here to listen, you know. And it's the same thing for the coaches. I have coaches coming in and out of our office all the time. You know, they just need to let out some frustration. We actually have a wheelchair that's in our office, and that's where they sit, and they just, you know, we're just open to everybody. It's not just athletes. You know, I've helped coaches along the way as well with injuries, and, you know, with just every day, like, I need to unload with frustrations.
And y'all mentioned coaches there, and I can tell you that they're the ones that actually truly know what you all do and how long y'all are here, before school, after school, all that, and how much they really appreciate all of it.
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to move on to how you all get your high school students here ready to be student trainers.
Well, we make an announcement, and we're open to anybody who wants to or who's interested in being a student trainer. We have the luxury of having spring football. So we'll have a student trainer interest meeting, and we'll let them know kind of roughly what all the dates are going to be like, what time they're going to have to be here, practices, and things like that. And spring football really gives them an idea of what football season's going to be like, the hours that we're going to have to put in, the hard work that the girls are going to have to do, carrying out Frio, setting up the field, you know, helping with rehab, injuries, and things like that. And so it gives them a really good taste of what football season's going to be like. And then once they get through spring football, then they can transition into football season. And if they want to be in another sport and student train for another sport, then in the spring and in the winter, they can do that as well. So we definitely have grown our program. I think when I first got here in 2017, I think we had like maybe 8 or 9. Our student training staff this year is 24, 25. So the interest is there, and we're starting to see a lot more students, you know, stick around and, you know, really appreciate the work that we do.
Awesome. Okay, in y'all's profession, how important is organization in it?
It is very important. As Monica and I, being the only athletic trainers for the entire district, we have the high school campus, Medina Valley Middle School is right next door. So we're juggling a lot of student athletes and a lot of sports. And so knowing schedules of games, schedules of practices, getting kids to report at treatment times and staying on top of that. Communicating is also important with regards to injury reports, staying on top of kids that are limited or restricted versus ones that are cleared. But it is quite a load when you have, you know, just a few weeks ago we counted with 12, 13 sports in season with roughly 600 student athletes in season, not counting the ones that are in off season. But yeah, it's a lot to juggle.
I personally have like 4 or 5 different calendars just to kind of keep up with it all. You know, Randy, we also have Loma Alta, which is like 15 minutes away from us, where the new Creekview High School is going to go behind. And so it's a lot to juggle. And so I have my desk calendar, I have my planner in my backpack, I have my calendar on my phone, you know, because you gotta have to know what's going on where and where the coverage is needed. And thankfully, we get contract coverage. So if there's multiple sports going on at one time, we can get contract coverage, especially for our middle schools. We have a contract athletic trainer, Dennis Brown, who has helped us out tremendously over at Loma Alta and getting all of Loma Alta games covered. But yeah, like Randy said, February, when that crossover season happens, any one night we can have baseball, softball, soccer, and basketball all going on at the same time. And so with just two of us being here, it's really hard, but we get it covered, and Dennis helps us out a whole lot.
All right, so now I was hoping you could give some suggestions or helpful hints for those that are trying to get into athletic training, and let us know if y'all have any that you've worked with, any kids that you've worked with that are now in programs for athletic training or actual athletic trainers.
So as far as getting into the profession of athletic training, I would say first do your research and look into which colleges have what types of programs. Also be aware of what the profession entails, and I'll never forget the pre-athletic training meeting I went to when I was just starting out with David Gish, who was one of my mentors and the guy that really got me into this and got me going, was laid it all out there, what this profession was like, the long hours, the environment, weekends, holidays, all that stuff. And I think that's what really prepared me for what was coming down the road as I went through college and as professional. As far as students, I guess I technically maybe have one sort of claim to fame, even though I had literally nothing to do with it probably. But Amy Potter was a student trainer of mine, and she is now the athletic trainer, I think, at Marshall High School in San Antonio. And so it's really kind of cool to see, I say full circle, but how it kind of keeps going, if you will, and how
that is what happens with age too, just so you know.
Well, yeah, especially, yeah. So to see that is really cool. And then to know that she's influencing her student trainers and that there'll be a student of hers that goes on. That's the one for me.
That's awesome.
Like Randy said, I would do our research. Athletic training field has now gone to an entry-level master's. Coach Neuman went through an accredited program, and I went through what they called an internship program. And so going through the internship program, was not able to sit for my board certification unless I went back to school to take all of the extra classes that Randy took. If I'm not mistaken, I think they still have internship programs. It's either a entry-level master's or an internship program. So that's definitely something to think about. The athletic training field is booming. Now we're getting into the industrial setting, and a lot of the industrial settings are requiring a board certification. I've looked into some of those fields, and being licensed only in the state of Texas, they would prefer somebody who's board certified. So that's definitely something to think about. And like he said, just researching your school and what the program offers, and how quickly you're going to be able to get all of your classes done to take your test. We have two student trainers who are currently in school. We have Chase Wheeler, who's going to Baylor University right now. He's worked with football, and right now, if I'm not mistaken, he's traveling with men's basketball. So that's really cool because we can see him on TV. We also have a student trainer who is going to A&M Kingsville.
Your alma mater?
My alma mater, yes, go Habs. She's Gabby Ayala. She was actually on the fence about doing athletic training, and A&M Kingsville offers this program where we can take student trainers down and they can work a Saturday college football game to kind of get the experience. And she went down with me one year, and she also went to their sports medicine clinic that they offer. And I think that just kind of did it for her. And so now she's a student trainer. She's in her second year at A&M Kingsville. She's currently working with beach volleyball, which I'm super jealous about. She texts me pictures all the time. And so it's just really cool, like Randy said, to see the kids that you've influenced, and they're pursuing this field, and they're loving it and having fun with it. And then one day, maybe we'll be working alongside of them, or they're going to be working with our children one day.
Awesome. All right, I wanted to thank you two for kicking off our National Athletic Trainers Month, and I want to thank you personally for everything y'all did when I was here at Medina Valley, everything y'all did for us and everything y'all continue to do. And I think you got one more thing to say.
For all you coaches out there, go thank your athletic trainer, buy him a cup of coffee or lunch or breakfast taco, because we put up with a lot. Your crazy schedules and your last minute notices, okay, they come back. So thank your athletic trainer. Happy Athletic Training Month to all the athletic trainers out there.
A massive thank you to Randy Neuman and Monica Rosales for everything they do for the Medina Valley ISD community. It may seem like an invisible job, but the impact they make on the student athletes and coaching staff daily is immeasurable. These two are true change makers in this world. And to everyone watching, be sure to offer your thanks to your athletic trainer. The hours they keep to help your athletes healthy is beyond belief. We'll see you next time.